Welcome to Life with Strings Attached. I'm your host, Jamie Gale. In this special biography episode of Life with Strings Attached, we explore the life and legacy of one of the most significant luthiers of our time, John Monteleone. Born in Manhattan and raised in Islip, John grew up in a world shaped by sculpture, architecture, and music, thanks to a family deeply rooted in the arts. From his early work repairing instruments at Mandolin Brothers to creating the grand artist mandolin and his celebrated archtop guitars, John developed a voice unmistakably his own. Musicians, collectors, and peers immediately recognized the thumbprint of a Monteleone, a sound and aesthetic shaped by intention, balance, and imagination. His Four Seasons guitars entered the permanent collection of the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and his craftsmanship inspires artists like Béla Fleck, Clapton, and Mark Knopfler, who honored John with the song Monteleone. Today, we trace the story of a maker whose curiosity, discipline, and joy have shaped a remarkable life. Just sort of understand the person that is John Monteleone and where you sort of came from, and I think people appreciate having that background if you don't mind sharing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
you ready?
Yeah, you mind just saying your name and where and when you were born and to whom? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm John Monteleone, and in Italy they would say Monteleone. In America they say "Hey Monteleone." Monteleone. All kinds of variations of it. But I'm John Monteleone. Have been for a long time now.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
And on Fifth Avenue, actually.
Okay.
Flower Fifth Avenue Hospital. Mm-hmm. So, but our family moved out here to Islip. I was only several months old.
Mm-hmm.
So, 1947, they moved out. And my dad was a sculptor, trained as a sculptor, a Beaux-Arts graduate of that school. And his family background was from statuary or sculpting, a lot of them. So that's what he grew up in. And then ultimately that's what I grew up around. And World War II, by that time, he, classic sculpting was a little bit out of popularity, and modern architecture was coming in. So a lot of his family, some of his family members, were involved in ornamental architecture. Mm-hmm. So this would be associated with buildings, different treatments for various parts of a building and so forth. The New York Telephone Building is one of my great uncle's works. Mm-hmm. As well as some other buildings in Manhattan and other places, telephone company and all that. Also, some of the work on the elevator doors for the Empire State Building. So he had these connections back in the 30s and into the 40s, etc. And so that side of the family was pretty interesting and very creative. In fact, that same great uncle was very musically appreciative. I don't know about inclined, but appreciative to the point where he had an idea where he would associate music or assign architectural nomenclature to music. Mm-hmm. So visually you could see music as he would put on paper. He did over 300 drawings with colored pencils back in the day, mm-hmm. collection mm-hmm. of all these interpretations of various little pieces of music that you could visually see mm-hmm. on paper. But anyway, that was him. I remember that guy. It was interesting. But my dad was trained also in ceramics, and he came out here to Long Island with the idea of, he had a job with a ceramics company, but it didn't last too long. And then there was so much subcontracting going on with aviation out here on Long Island. Aviation was a big thing. Grumman, Republic Aviation, and all of that was happening. So he started picking up subcontracting jobs where he would open his own pattern making shop. And meanwhile, he had a gift shop on Main Street in Islip where he was able to sell some of the lamps and statuary that he had created. So it was like two things going on at the same time. And I was growing up in both environments, just locally. And so I worked for my father, summer jobs all the time, since I was a little kid. And even after college, I did some work with him. By that time, I was already building some instruments. And after a little trip to Europe, I made up my mind while I was over there. I said, I've got something else I want to do. And I couldn't put my finger on it right away. But I let him know that I was not going to be coming back to his workshop, which was a bitter pill for both of us. But it just had to be done. And we talk about doors that open or doors that are in front of you that you can open or not. I opened the door when I met Mandolin Brothers pretty early on. They had just opened, speaking of doors, they just opened theirs. It was a new business at the time. So it was 1972 or 3. They were getting started with that. They were operating out of Stan's living room at the time. So that was a phone call that I had made to them. Pretty early on, I had a question for them about a mandolin locally that I'd seen. I said, oh, by the way, I made a couple of guitars. Oh yeah, we'd like to see them. So I drove out there and they needed somebody to do their repair and that kind of work. And so I took the job right away. I went home with like a 0045 and a Béla Fleck Gibson banjo and maybe a herringbone or whatever on the back seat of my little Volkswagen. So, and that's the way it would be. It was a wonderful thing that happened.
Before we go too far down that path, what about your mother?
My mother,
and what are your
not
parents?
Italian.
What are your parents' names?
My mother, her name was Olga, maiden name Harrison, so she was not an Italian. Her background would have been German, French, English, or Scottish. And but she met my dad. She was happened to be working at a medallic, the medallic art company, and they made medallions. And so that's how they met. My dad and mother. In around 1940. But my mother grew up pretty much well educated and very well read. She was very well read, and she was a wonderful person. She was liked and loved by everybody. So I grew around that, and between that and my dad, I was getting such dynamic of life around me. And Islip itself, the town, the community, was, right down the middle. Just lovely people. Small town community. Main Street was where everybody knew everybody. And that's what life was like. Simple, not too complicated.
And we're in Islip now, so you have remained in the place where you came when you were only a few weeks old. More or less, not the same house, but
I know it's. I guess it's odd, but I never looked at it that way. I always wanted to have a family, and then a normal, what we would consider a normal life. So I was very observant in terms of what not to do and what I could do that would allow me the flexibility to have a normal life, normal family, normal place to live comfortably. And by the way, to be able to run a business like this. You know, so those were the things that just grew out of the need to make that happen.
Yeah. So you have a good family. Are they siblings? Just you?
I had two brothers and a sister.
Brothers and sister.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cedar Creek Custom Case Shop is your premier fretted instrument custom case maker, and we invite you to create a musical instrument case unlike any other, one that's unique to you. Every Cedar Creek custom case is hand-built by highly skilled craftspeople using only select woods, Providence Forge hardware, and premium instrument-friendly materials. At Cedar Creek Custom Case Shop, we are dedicated to helping you design the case of your dreams. Find out more at cedarcreekcases.com.
Where are you in the family of four kids?
I was the third
son.
son.
The third son.
Yeah.
Okay.
My sister came after me.
Oh, I'm a third son, but my mom gave up at that point in time. Gave up and trying to get a girl. Sounds like your family got one in the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you're growing up in the idyllic sort of 1950s America, small town. Everyone knows each other on Main Street.
Yeah.
You know, you've got a family business, sort of two aspects of the family business through pattern making and a gift shop, you know, with your creative father. And then you say family's important to you. Did you, when you met the folks at Mandolin Brothers, and is that, by the way, is that Stan J and Hap Kuffner? Who's the second?
Yeah. Hap Kuffner,
Yeah,
Stan
and
J.
Stan, yeah. So you meet these guys.
Yeah.
Did you already have a family at this point, or when did your family come along?
No, that was 1989.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you meet these folks and you start. What happens next? So you meet Mandolin Brothers.
Well, yeah. So I was instantly getting work.
Yeah.
That would, you know, I realized that the repair business would be something that would always be in demand. You know, for these instruments. You know, they have to be maintained.
Yeah.
So that idea was a safety net unto itself. The idea to build instruments would be a little bit more risky. And I would feel it out as to, is it possible? And it wasn't a problem at all to just make a mandolin, make a guitar. And then I would see that they were interested because they weren't able to get replicas. So they had that advantage to offer to their clientele. So that's what grew out of that idea. You know, and meanwhile, I would be meeting people like Joni Mitchell, the customers that would come into Mandolin Brothers, you know, Stephen Stills and people like that, who would be looking for a vintage instrument of some so yeah, one day Joni Mitchell comes in. I have to deliver some instruments that she wants to look at, in particular a Martin guitar, real old, nice, beautiful old one. And I happened to have on my bench that day a K4 Mandocello Gibson with a scroll on the body, you know, like that. And it wasn't for her. It was something that I was repairing for the Mandolin Brothers. So I brought it along, and she took a look at it. She was attracted to it right away. And she picked it up and instantly put it into a tuning of her own.
Mm-hmm.
And she just loved the sound of it. She bought it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the guitar. So not long after that, her album Hejira comes out. She's got a song to Sharon on there.
Mm-hmm.
And she sings about Sharon, I went to Staten Island to buy a mandolin.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was the day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it would be little things like that that would happen, every now and then, that I would never have counted on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And making, doing repair for Graham Nash or somebody like that, things like those opportunities would start coming along.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like icing on the cake.
Yeah.
And Peter Yarrow, and other people, Dave Van Ronk and Eric Anderson and, a bunch of other people started showing up to have work done.
Mm-hmm.
And it just became such a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. So, at what point in time do the Monteleone guitars and mandolins that we would recognize today, when did there's just their story sort of start as the recognizable? I use the term brand, but it is. Come on, you have an identifiable look. We look at it, we go, "Oh, that's a Monteleone." And so you were talking about making replica instruments, and so
that album up there came out.
yes,
David Grisman.
yeah,
I met David pretty early on, and he was at the time really becoming very involved with all mandolin aspects,
mm-hmm.
everything to do with mandolin,
Mm-hmm.
including classical and blues and you name it, anything associated with mandolin, he was into it.
Yeah.
And he had a strong bluegrass background, of course, and he would have some more mandolins, etc. So he visited my shop. I forget what the year was, but I had built, by that time, the prototype Grand Artist.
Mm-hmm.
And I had one or two of my F5 replicas as well. So he came in to check it out.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought in some of the band members. So we had a great day of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he liked my Grand Artist so much that he wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
And he ordered one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He placed an order for a Grand Artist. And that was like 80, I forget what the year is, around 1980,
Mm-hmm.
79.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Quintet 80, that album.
Okay, yeah.
And so I made Mandolin number 25, Grand Artist, for him.
Mm-hmm.
And then later he said, that first one, that prototype? He said, can I have that too? So he got that. So things would pick up.
Mm-hmm.
That album came out, a complete surprise to me,
Mm-hmm.
where my mandolin was like all over the cover.
Yeah.
And that's when people took notice,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and especially with mandolins. And I was beginning to make and move the Grand Artist mandolins. I made about 30 or so of the first F5 style,
Mm-hmm.
which I called the M5.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was able to switch. After I tested the waters, I was able to just make my own.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Grand Artist, and then that would lead to the Grand Artist guitars after that, and so forth. And in the meantime, I was also doing banjo work.
Mm-hmm.
And so Béla Fleck, he was only 14 years old. His mother drives him out to my shop.
Mm-hmm.
And I built a banjo for him.
Mm-hmm.
And then I built another banjo, et cetera. And so he's still playing the neck, the last one,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that I'd made for him, it's a specially spec'd neck. It's
Mm-hmm.
wider
Mm-hmm.
and arch board
Mm-hmm.
instead of a flat board. So there were details about that were very favorable to his style of playing.
Mm-hmm.
And that has grown to other banjo players as well. They liked that idea.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So things like that would happen, special projects, special restorations, repairs. I was doing alongside my building, and then over time, the years would go by. I wasn't able to do so much of the repairs because the building was starting to take over.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a guy at the time, Tom Marcel was his name. I had him for about 10 years, and he was able to handle a lot of the repairs for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good.
Mm-hmm. That brings us into the 90s? Or are we still in the 80s at this point?
We would be coming out of the 80s and into the 90s.
The 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So when you make your first identifiable Monteleone style instruments, you're 35-ish, somewhere around there, is that right?
Yeah.
Around 1980-ish or something?
Yeah, 36.
36, somewhere. So you're mid-30s. Yeah. When your style, your brand sort of emerges at that point. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Before you know it, 50 years can go by.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. 10 years go like that.
Yeah. And so, all right. So now we're in the early 90s. You met David Grisman, Béla Fleck, some others. You're doing mandolins, you're doing banjos. When did the Monteleone guitars become a part of what you're doing? This space is normally reserved for brands who make stories like this possible, like the Dario and the Cedar Creek Custom Case Shop. If your company belongs in this conversation, let's talk. We partner with brands who value craft, culture, and the quiet power of a well-placed idea.
Well, I was beginning to have this traffic of repair people coming through my shop pretty regularly. And some of the friends that I was making along the way, really great guitar players. Woody Mann was one of them, a dear friend of mine, fabulous guitar player. And there would be some other people that were influential. But the guitar, the flat top guitar especially, now the archtop guitars is more specialized, a little different than the flat top. Flat top was more widely applied. The archtop was still relegated to a jazz box, which I never liked. It was too confining for the instrument. I thought the instrument was capable of much more wider application, and I knew it could, but it wasn't quite ready at the time. So I was still building for some archtops for jazz guys in the early days, but they were beginning to realize that the guitar could be more sensitive than just a rhythm guitar. It could really play out. But the flat tops, which I always loved, I started first on making flat tops. The timing wasn't too great for flat tops, market-wise, in the 80s. In the 80s, different things were happening for the market. But eventually it would lead to herringbone. Martins were always of interest. And so I thought, well, maybe it's time. I'd make one or two, but I'd never really promoted it. It would be the kind of thing I would have the guitar sitting around in a rack and somebody would see it. And that happened very often with all the instruments, with archtops, with mandolins, So the people who were coming through really spotted, and then the word would spread. There would always be somebody come along who needed a repair or refret or some kind of thing like that, and that would bring people around through the door. And by the way, that's a nice guitar. Is that available? So that word of mouth was one of those reputations that takes a long time to build and 5 minutes to destroy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that idea was a valuable one to me, one to respect.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
But the idea to build thematically in that direction, which caught the interest of certain people
Mm-hmm.
who would see, first of all, my Radio City model was kind of like a flagship
Mm-hmm.
model. The Eclipse was more of a standard.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Radio Flyer was right there in the middle. So the Radio Flyer and the Radio City were both tributes, a nod to the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
The guitar that I would hear on the radio growing up, all the great things I ever heard on the radio, and all the great guitar things I ever crossed the great stages.
Mm-hmm.
Radio City.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the association thematically for those two guitars. And then from that, the idea of ornamentation would come along to the point where I began to make some one-offs. And then I got the idea for the Four Seasons. And then that got widely seen. And the next project after that, when I was through with it, I thought, well, what do we do next? And that's where the trains came in.
Mm-hmm.
To that, now I finished that run of limited guitars. I said, well, what's next?
Mm-hmm.
I said, oh, Wildcats, Big Cats.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I made the Pantera
Mm-hmm.
just recently,
Mm-hmm.
first one. And I have, there's right there.
Yes, yes.
The Jaguar is on the bench. That's the top for the Jaguar right there.
Okay.
And the sides right next to it. So
Mhm.
that project's underway. I already have the lion picked and the tiger.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Jaguar, lion, tiger. And we'll see where it goes from there. I don't know.
Now, your name means mountain lion.
Yeah.
Translated from Italian.
Right.
And so, have you chosen to elevate that one somehow? Dig in a little deeper?
Well,
Is it...
yeah, I did the Palermo,
Uh-huh.
which I inlaid my family crest
Mm-hmm.
on the headstock of that one.
Mhm.
And the Monteleone, and the logo's on it already. So,
Mm-hmm.
there was an Italianate reference to that guitar,
Mhm.
the Palermo, and one or two other guitars had an Italian reference.
Mhm.
Enzo was another one I did for a customer.
Okay.
He was a race guy,
Okay. So Enzo Ferrari, is that
yeah,
referencing? Yeah, yeah.
right. And his son was named after Enzo.
Okay.
And so I designed a guitar and called it Enzo.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Did another guitar for him called Atlas.
Okay.
And on the headstock is Atlas with a world on his shoulders.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not Atlas Shrugs. A different Atlas.
Well, Atlas Shrugged was part of his inspiration, certainly for the project.
Oh.
And I ran with it,
Mhm.
you know. Said, okay, let's see what we can do with that.
Yeah. Great. I feel like we've skipped over some key moments as your biography
Yeah.
because the Four Seasons became quite famous and there were some seminal moments that happened around those guitars. Do you care to share that from your
Do you
perspective?
have any in mind?
Well, are they not owned by one of the greatest museums in the world?
Oh, well, now they are.
That might be significant to some people, John.
I didn't mean to skip over that detail.
So that's all right. Yeah. So can you maybe,
So-
because I think that if we're talking about your biography,
Yeah.
I don't know your work as intimately as some others do, but I'm certainly well aware of the Four Seasons.
Yeah.
And so I think that maybe a little more detail around that is important for your biography, unless you disagree.
Oh, no, sure.
Yeah.
No, there were other things that were going on that were very important too. I made a guitar for Anthony Wilson, and he's Diana Krall's guitarist. So he's a fantastic guitar player and good friend of mine. And by the way, he wrote the music. I commissioned him to write the music for the Four Seasons, which he did. And we were able to present it, a premiere performance, at the Metropolitan Museum. And so after that, there were a couple of things that took place. One of them was the exhibition at the museum in 2011 called Guitar Heroes. And that was based on the three of us luthiers from New York.
Yes.
So it was D'Angelico, D'Acquisto, and myself.
Yes.
And this really came out of conversations that I was having with several people. Michael Katz was a dear friend of mine. He passed away, unfortunately, a while back. But he was passionately connected with guitars, archtop and flat top and banjos and everything, but the good stuff. And I learned a lot from Michael. And he loved my Four Seasons guitars. And he got to see the first one and the beginning of the second one before he passed away. So that was around 2001. And when I started building them. So by the time Four Seasons came around, the Guitar Heroes, that was a show that it really displayed an awful lot of my work, as well as D'Angelico and D'Acquisto. I was approached by the Katz family, who wanted to commemorate Michael with a fund that they had. And his brother, David Katz, took note of the Four Seasons at the time, and he promoted the idea of purchasing them for the Metropolitan Museum. So that's exactly what happened. They were able to purchase this for their permanent collection through the Michael Katz Foundation. And another one of those things I never would have counted on, but it happened.
Yeah.
So there was that.
As a guitar builder and a player, you have a sense for when something's working right. That's why so many of the world's best trust D'Addario. Unmatched tone, perfect intonation, and strings made to the tightest tolerances in the industry. That reputation is no accident. It's the result of 400 years of being obsessed with quality and innovation. D'Addario, when you know, you know.
Were you the first living guitar maker to have your work displayed in the Met?
I believe so. I believe so, yeah. Yeah, it was.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have a hard time celebrating those successes?
Not a hard time, no. I don't focus on them too much.
Yeah.
Because, I don't like to rely or depend on that kind of an idea without just be able to look ahead. I just look ahead. I don't look behind.
Yeah.
My focus is in front of me, so I don't need to wave my flag.
Yeah. I appreciate that. And so now I've made the assumption that shifted your business somehow, your life somehow, that it brought more notoriety, probably affected the value of your guitars.
Yeah.
Are those reasonable assumptions to have made?
Well, that in part, yes.
Yeah.
And then Mark Knopfler, I made a guitar for Mark.
Yeah.
And ended up, he wrote a song about it, the experience. He'd been here a few times, and he was taking notes. I could tell when he was here, there was something going on.
Contemplating.
Taking mental notes of the place. So the lyrics that he uses, if you follow, you can tell that he had been here. The gravel in the driveway and all that sort of thing. And the chips, the chisels, all that kind of thing. So he wrote that tune and called it Monteleone. And I was just totally floored. When he sat me down in the captain's chair in his studio, and he put that on for me, played this thing. It was a complete surprise.
Yeah.
I came home, my wife, she says, well, what does it sound like? I said, I don't know, I can't remember.
He was kind of stunned.
I was a deer in headlights, It's like, wow. So that's the way that came out. And then eventually, people will get curious and interested. Clapton called for a guitar and he ended up taking two of them. And it was like, wow. So, I'll have to make another one because he took my own. I made one for him, and I just like that with that finish on. I brought the guitar to show him to see if he'd like it, and then we could talk about the finish. He liked it a lot, and I brought a second guitar that I was making for myself, just in case. And so he says, "Oh, is that one? What about that one?"
Yes.
Okay. Can I have that? Yeah. Okay. So I'll get to make another. And I always like that idea too. That I can let it go because I get to make another one. Which I did. I made 4 of those in particular models. They were 40th anniversary guitars. And then Rudy would come by. And he would see the guitar that I had for myself, and he said, "Can I have that?" I said, "Yeah, okay."
Yes.
I'll just have to make another one. So that's how that works.
I was anticipating you doing a Rudy Pensa impersonation. Because Rudy's his energy is so contagious. Most people do.
Johnny, this guitar is amazing. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I was expecting to hear when you said, then Rudy came by.
Okay, I got the idea. You like that guitar. Okay, all right. No, he's such a good friend, and he's been good for me. I enjoy I've made guitars for him, which he still has. He's sold a few as well. But I would get the collectors who started to come in and really took note of the quality of the pieces and wanted to collect them. So I have several collectors who have a number of my guitars.
Yeah.
And they were also very good for giving me the freedom to create. I know Alan Haddad, in fact, he was just here yesterday, I'm making that guitar for him. But he would always give me the freedom to make whatever, what do you want to do? I don't know how to build a guitar, you do. He would, so okay, what would you do, with this idea, this theme? He would kind of like turn me loose on a project. So a guitar like the Sun King would come, I made that for him. That was another pivotal kind of guitar. Thematically, that would lead to other guitars. So the Deco Vox was another guitar design that I was able to use architectural influence coming from the Chrysler building. The idea, the challenge was put to me. He said, "John, can you make a guitar like the Chrysler building?" No.
Yeah.
I said, no. How do you do that? And the idea never left me for 2 years.
Okay.
So how do I do that? I said, oh, and finally it dawned on me one day, the idea how to do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, things will sit with you for a while and you contemplate. Okay, but it still has to be a guitar. The foundation, the bottom line, it's got to play and be desirable to play. I don't care what you put on it. It still has to be a musician's instrument.
Yeah.
And so with that idea, the foundation would be built and structured that I could apply these things onto it that would allow, the guitar would allow it to happen. Because I see quite often designs that don't allow that design to be put on the guitar. It's just like something just threw it on there.
Yeah.
Or it's not consistent from one end to the other, head to toe. There would be something lost along the way. And so when you consider design, you have to really think about the sensibility of it, the practicality of it, and less is more. Don't overdo it. In fact, sometimes I'll see guitars where the wood overpowers the instrument itself. Beautiful wood, beautiful. But you go to a guitar show and the back is presented to you first. That doesn't work for me.
It's hard to stand out at a guitar show in a sea of spruce tops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I never went to a guitar show in particular to sell a guitar.
Yeah.
No. I would go there to just meet people and just have them play my guitar. Just play it. Go home. See if it stays with you. The idea. And it would stay with some people. So that's the way it worked for me.
Wonderful. Okay, so in the timeline of your life story here, so we got as far as the Four Seasons. We talked about selling guitars to some notable people like Mark Knopfler and Eric Clapton, apparently British rock stars in particular. In this
Ben Harper also.
Ben Harper, all right,
that was an interesting project.
Yeah. He's a curious sort. And so, are there any other moments that you think are important for the record of your biography up until this point in time? Here we are in 2025.
I don't know. Right now, nothing's coming to my mind. Nothing is standing out other than the fact that I'm blessed to continue doing what I do, and still, feel good physically about it. Health-wise, I'm fine. So I can still do it, and my curiosity is such a driving thing that I cannot wait to finish a project. And get into the next one, or to string it up and play the thing that I've been thinking about since it came in as a part of a tree.
Right.
It's like, these were trees, these are organic things, So you try to read the material as best you can tonally to put it to such a good purpose. There's a lot of evaluation, acceptance and rejection along every step along the way. However insignificant the part may be, it's just in the total picture, I see the whole thing. I can hear it. So in the end, I want to see how close did I come to that idea. And so it's rewarding. Highly rewarding. And so, even though as time goes by, I've slowed down a little bit in some of some of the output as well as some of the input too, because I still get orders coming in, but I've had to turn away a lot on purpose, because a big backlog doesn't interest me anymore. It's confining. I don't know if I admire or feel sorry for some of these guys that have orders for 20 years out there. It's like, how do you do that? It's like, you have to make that guitar in 20 years. Okay, you're going to leave enough room to grow.
Yeah. That'll be a topic for another discussion. John, it seems to me that you are a contented person with a life well lived. And for that, it's very enviable. Thank you for sharing your life story with us.
Oh, it's my great pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to do that.
You've been listening to Life with Strings Attached. If today's conversation meant something to you, consider passing it on. These stories find their place through the people who share them. A new episode comes out every Friday, right here, wherever you're listening. I'm Jamie Gale, and thanks for listening to Life with Strings Attached.